Folks, the President of the United States essentially said to leaders of Congress, Republican leaders of the House and Senate, Friday morning in a meeting at the White House, we can't let people like Rush Limbaugh stall this. That's how things don't get done in this town. Also, during this meeting, he referred to the fact that if we don't get this done, meaning the stimulus bill, Democrats could lose seats and he could lose re-election. Now, there are two things going on with Senator or President Obama's suggesting that people stop listening to me. One prong of his plan, the Great Unifier's plan, is to isolate. We were talked about this Friday afternoon, by the way, incidentally. His plan is to isolate elected Republicans from their voters and supporters. He wants to make the argument about me. He wants to marginalize me. He wants me to be thought of as such an extremist that no mainstream Republican would ever associate with me. He is hoping that elected Republicans currently serving will also publicly denounce me in the process and further marginalize me. And who knows whether they will or not, because the question we have to ask ourselves as we look at Republicans on Capitol Hill today is this: are ideological and philosophical ties enough to keep the Republicans loyal to their voters? Is that enough?
Hi.
Hi.
So anyway, this weekend I was listening to the radio, and even though I thought it wasn't possible, I was stunned by Obama's arrogance in calling you out and frightened by it, because I think he's using his extreme popularity to try and silence dissent and to affect people like me, and I consider myself a moderate, not to listen to you.
Well, I understand how you look at it that way, and I appreciate it. I think, as I said, there's something else going on with this. I think, whether it was a smart move or not, this guy is multi-level. This could be Machiavellian on his part. He could have done this on purpose to make me the focal point, because he thinks the rest of the country believes that I am some extreme nutcase, and he wants to focus attention on me. It could also be that he is, as you say, worried because the only real opposition he has is coming from a guy on the radio, not elected Republicans. He needs Republicans for cover only on his stimulus package. Got to understand, folks, he does not need Republican votes. Maybe one or two in the Senate is all he needs. And he doesn't need a single Republican in the House to get this done. Now, his definition of bipartisanship is when a bunch of Republicans cave on their own principles and agree with him and give him what he wants. That's magical. That's marvelous. That's bipartisanship. He wants Republican votes on this, so if it blows up, both parties get blame. He doesn't want, in 2010 or 2012, Republicans to be able to run for re-election saying, we didn't support this boondoggle that cost you even more jobs, that raised inflation, that raised unemployment. We didn't support this. He wants Republicans on board so they can't run against this when it doesn't work. He also wants this to pass because he wants to re-energize the Democrat Party and entrench it for, quote-unquote, eternal power, just as FDR did. But he doesn't need Republican votes for this. The third thing that's going on is marginalize me, make me the focus of this, so it distracts everybody. He would love it if McConnell or Boehner would come out and echo his sentiments. Don't forget who first got this ball rolling. It was Colin Powell last December. And Obama's words are almost identical to Colin Powell's. The Republican Party needs to stop listening to Rush Limbaugh. So if he's able to marginalize me, make Republicans afraid to do anything that I would applaud, then guess what he's achieved? He owns them. And that's what he's really attempting to do. This is a political play. And a lot of people, I think, are misunderstanding this. He's frightened of Limbaugh. I don't think he's afraid of anybody. He's the President of the United States. This is a political play to marginalize me so that Republicans are afraid to associate me or with my ideas or any of us. He wants conservatism, mainstream conservatism, to be thought of the way you and I think of communism. He wants it thought of as the most foreign, the most offensive, the most extreme manner of belief possible. And so there isn't somebody, there are no elected Republicans who are espousing conservatism today. So he's got to find somebody who is. I happen to be the most prominent voice, but there are many others. So he focuses on me. This is a Saul Alinsky radical rule number 13. Pick the target, me, isolate it, polarize it. It's almost like Colin Powell. We'll kill it, we'll isolate it, we'll cut its head off. That's what's happening here. This is a purposeful effort to get rid of conservatism as a mainstream way of thinking forever in this country. Make no mistake about that.
America's Anchorman, Rush, on the EIB Network.
And greetings, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I am Rush Limbaugh. The man, President Obama, has instructed you not to listen to. Listen to this. This is Liz Sedoti, or Sedoti, I don't know, AP Obama. On Friday afternoon, as you know, the President of the United States, actually it was Friday morning, but we didn't learn about it until Friday afternoon. Friday morning, in a meeting with House and Senate Republican leaders, President Obama basically told them, stop listening to me. That's not how things get done in Washington. We can't let Rush Limbaugh stall the stimulus plan. Now, this is the great unifier. This is the man who's going to unify everybody and usher in a new era of bipartisanship and love. And he's obviously more frightened of me than he is Mitch McConnell. He is more frightened of me than he is of, say, John Boehner, which doesn't say much about our party. I mean, to tell you the truth, folks, if the president is a little more worried about somebody on the radio than he is somebody on Capitol Hill, I think Obama wants me to fail. There's no question. Obama didn't use the words, but President Obama, by telling you and elected Republicans in Washington to not listen to me because I am not how things get done in Washington, he has said that he wants me to fail. And we know how outraged the drive-by media got when they reported that that's what I said about Obama's policies. Let's see if there is similar outrage at the president for asking a private citizen who is trying his best to rejuvenate our economy to fail. Liz Sedoti, AP. This is after Obama gets into a very full-fledged partisan mode on Friday. Obama opened his presidency by breaking sharply from Bush's administration, but he mostly avoided divisive, partisan, ideological stands. This is absurd. It is ridiculous. It's hilarious. He is sprinting so fast to the left, right off the... Folks, do you remember, by the way, we keep thinking, things just keep flying out of my fertile mind. It was just last week that I gave you an idea for a post-Super Bowl office pool, because everybody loves these little football office pools during the season, and after the football season ends with the Super Bowl, because nobody does an office pool on a Pro Bowl, you kind of lost. There's a little downturn. I said, start the next office pool, and how long it's going to be before President Obama calls some radio station from Air Force One and says it's just not fair. I have 3 hours a day on the radio every day with no truth detector, and he can't compete with it. Well, hell's bells. It didn't even take to the end of the football season. We didn't even get our pool started. Nobody won this because we didn't get the pool started. I mean, in less than a week. Just remember, folks, rule number 13, Alinsky's rules for radicals. This explains what Obama was doing, mentioning name. Pick the target, freeze it, personalize it, polarize it. That explains what he was doing Friday.